Today we're going to be talking about creative rest for exhausted helpers, which is both everyone in this audience but also for your volunteers, right? And so it's a little kind of a mix use, if you will. And so hopefully today is helpful for you individually, but also you'll be able to take some of these ideas and maybe apply it to your volunteers. And so, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Gung. It's pronounced like gung ho, if that's easier to remember. These are some of the different things that I've been associated with in the past. Often, they're if they're in the news, they're not saying great things. So that's a little sad for me. But so the things that are, less well known. So these are my former sort of startup babies. One was called Rent Jungle, another was Community Elf, and so. Civic Champs is my third startup company. We do volunteer management software for nonprofits. And so that's kind of our day-to-day work, if you will. But one of our sort of passions is to host these webinars for you all. And so we have some awesome guests like Sarah who join us and hopefully will provide some additional value to the sector. So um, yeah, I'm super excited to welcome Sarah King today as our guest speaker. Kind of brought back by popular demand, if you will, from last year. And so Sarah is a healing arts practitioner, and she's lived in many states, as you can see. But Sarah, yeah, I'll let you kind of maybe introduce yourself as well.
Hello, thank you for having me, Gung. Yep, as you can see, I've kind of lived all over the US. I am now in South Florida, and I see someone is joining Lisbeth. Hello from South Florida as well. So good to see some neighbors on here. Yes, I did have the pleasure of hanging out with y'all a little bit last year, and I'm so glad to be back. Day to day, I am a learning and development professional. Outside of that, as we're doing today, I also am a healing arts practitioner. More on what that is in a second. I also teach adults how to swim, and for about 18 years, I worked in nonprofit. And for a lot of that time, I was a volunteer manager. So, of course, this
Mm,
crowd is especially near and dear to my heart. Thank
yeah.
you.
It is my favorite crowd as well. You guys are probably the nicest people I've met out there. Certainly better than the apartment rentals or like marketing folks I used to have to deal with. They were much less nice. Um, a couple logistics. We're going to be sending out the slides and recording afterwards today. So if you are going to be able to join for the whole time, just know that you'll be able to see the recording later. We do anticipate the presentation to be 30 to 40 minutes, followed by Q&A. You can, of course, leave your thoughts throughout in terms of questions on chats. We'll try to catch them as we go, but if we don't get to them initially, I'm going to keep track of them and we'll circle back at the end as well. And then stay until the end for freebies. We'll be sharing some freebies that Sarah has very kindly provided for to share with you all. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and allow Sarah to take over.
Right. Thank you. Thank you all for chiming in the chat as well. I'm seeing those answers. Feel free to continue to share. So lately, I have heard a quote pretty often said, just in various circles that I'm in. And the quote is by Mr. Rogers. Okay, so let me know if you've heard this quote as well. Apparently, he said, "When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, 'Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping.'" Has anyone else heard that from? Yeah, look for the helpers, David. That's right. Several people have mentioned this. I see some thumbs ups coming through. Yeah, and I think it's definitely good and meaningful, especially in the world that we're living in right now. And it also makes me wonder, what about the helpers? Who can they look for? So today is for you. It's for you, the helper. Because in a time where injustice and cruelty is bombarding us, I hope that this time can be a place that that can nurture your own mental health. Because what about the helpers? Who can you look for support, for inspiration, for encouragement? What's the source of your own connection, of your community? How do you nurture your own mental health to be able to keep serving in the way that you do, to keep being an inspiration to others? So, for the helpers in here, that's you, and it's also those that help with you, your volunteers. So, I've designed this workshop to give a few ways to nurture your mental health by using creativity as a tool. All right. It's just one way that we can do it, but it's a fun way that we can do this together during this time today. So I'm going to share my screen. I have some suggested supplies that I would ask that you grab. Okay. And this is, let me go ahead and share here. Grab some paper, grab something to write with, please. Uh, Something small like a coin. For me, I'm using like this little marble thing that happened to be on my desk. It could be a paper clip, a bottle cap, a binder clip, like really whatever is near you. Okay, so something to write with, some paper, and a little object. Optionally, if you're one that likes to keep creative, colorful pens around, grab those too. If you're gathering school supplies for your children about this time of year, grab some of their school supplies, and we can play together a little bit today. And hello, Lucy. Thank you for saying hi in the chat. Good to have you. I also want to point out that my hands are making an appearance today. So the video that says Sarah Chat King, this is my journal in my hands. So maybe we can spotlight that too, perhaps. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so this is my hand and my demonstration window. So we have a couple things happening. So here's my little marble that I'll be using, some colorful markers and some paper. So as y'all gather that, let's kind of think about what we're going to do together today. So the title, Creative Rest, that term might be new to you, but I'm guessing that you have actually already experienced this in one form or another throughout your life. What this is talking about is when we engage in creativity or any activity with our hands, our minds can rest. So this was studied actually, Dr. Rex Young, assistant professor of neurosurgery, did a study comparing what happens in your brain when you're using your intelligence, okay, versus what happens when you're engaging in creativity. So first, intelligence. So, it uses the back and front parts of the brain. Uh, the two parts are integrated closely. He described it as greater cortical thickness, more neurons. It's as if the connectivity is like a superhighway. So the messages are going really quick. When you need to recall a fact, when you need to, think through the volunteer schedule, whatever is going on in your day to day, you might be doing constantly decision making and problem solving, things like that. Whereas if you engage in some form of creativity, he said what happens is he described it as transient hypofrontality. That means there's a downregulation of frontal lobes and there's freer interplay of different networks in your brain. It's almost as if the neurons are taking a slower, more meandering process. It's like they're on the scenic route, is what he described it as. And that's always stuck out to me because it reminds me of sometimes if I'm stuck and I don't know what to do about something, and then I start doing something, washing dishes, gardening, doing yoga, doing some stretches, going swimming, all of a sudden an idea will pop into my head for that particular thing. I'm curious, does this ring a bell with anyone? Have you ever experienced this where you can be doing something entirely different and all of a sudden an idea gets linked together, you get inspired, something like that? I'm seeing some hearts, 100% Lisa. Yeah. Sometimes that's actually what I do now intentionally is if I am stuck on something, yeah, from dreams too, for sure. I sleep on it, I take a lap, right? And shower, absolutely, yes. I get out of my environment for a second. I take a lap, whether that was when I used to work in nonprofit organizations, I would just go out to the waiting room, or just take a lap around outside, come back in, whatever that situation was. So this could even be playing with your child's Legos, Gung. It could be folding laundry. It could be organizing a closet. It could be anything. I remember I had a nonprofit, a boss of mine when I worked in a nonprofit. She would go and sort through in-kind donations. She was like, I just got to do something with my hands. Like whenever she was frustrated or she didn't know what to do about something, she would just start organizing aggressively. So whatever y'all need to do. Today, what we're going to be focusing in on is how we can use creativity in this realm, okay, for our mental health. So, one of the various roles that I play in life, the hats I wear, is I am what is called a healing arts practitioner. Healing arts is another name for rest, for creative rest. Healing arts teaches that we access healing and mental health benefits through the process of creativity. So don't worry, y'all, if creativity is not normally your thing, if you don't consider yourself a visual artist, no problem, because the benefit actually comes from doing it and not the final result. So none of the art we're going to make today, it might not be worthy of being framed in your life, but it will still serve you. And if it's not, no worries, just recycle the paper after. It's all good. But the process of doing it is where we're going to find the benefits. That's right, Dawn. Yeah, it is about the journey and not the destination. Absolutely. With that being said, I am not going to grade your work today. I invite you not to grade your work either. I know that's difficult for some of us, myself included, but I would ask that you just engage with no judgment. And whether or not you speak about to us in the chat, or if you share your art with us on the camera, that is completely up to you. I would just ask that the most important conversation you have today is with yourself, is looking inward. If someone does choose to share, of course, we'll keep that protected information. We'll keep that confidential. So here's where we're going to be going today. We're going to do a little warm-up activity together. We will go through prompts for resting your mind. I'll share a bit more about my story. We'll do a prompt for reconnecting, and then we'll do a prompt for renewing your energy and vision, and wrap up. So for our kind of warm-up, one question I have for you, actually, before I go here, would you let me know in the chat, who do you serve or support through your work? So whether that's the mission of your organization or just people in your own life, but who do you serve or support? Maybe it's a cause that you advocate for, maybe it's hunger, maybe it's voting rights, maybe it's, for me, the last organization I worked at was families with seriously ill children were who we served. It might be those healing from domestic abuse. Okay, these are great, thank you. Beautiful. Yeah, thank you for chiming in. I'm seeing elderly, community organizations improving their palliative approach. Beautiful. Volunteers and park visitors, vulnerable communities, persons with disabilities, homelessness, kids with learning differences, youth experiencing homelessness or at risk, survivors of sexual and domestic violence and those who support them, literacy volunteers, beautiful. Adult education, yeah, residents in skilled nursing and long-term care. Y'all, this is beautiful work and it's important work. And thank you for your service. So in this service, for those that you are supporting, what hats would you say you're wearing? This is going to be our first prompt to consider. What prompts, right? Everything David said, all the hats, exactly. So we're going to draw out, if you are comfortable doing so, you could also make a bulleted list if you're really not feeling drawing right now, that's okay. But I would encourage you to draw a little stick figure and then draw some hats on top and label those hats. All right, so what are those hats? It might be your actual job title, but it could also be lots of other duties assigned. And let's also think about the hats you wear in your life. It could be hats like you're the CEO of your home, of your household. You are also the ATM of your household. You might be the on maintenance. You might be tech support. You might be the tech support for your aging parents, like I am. You might be a parent, an aunt, a grandparent, an event planner, a social media manager, conflict resolution, screen time monitor, anything that kind of rings a bell with you. So that's going to be our first activity is draw a stick figure to represent yourself and then draw some hats on top and let's describe those. So how today is going to go is I'll play some music while you engage with this and then we'll move on to the next one. If anyone has any questions about what to do, let me know in the chat. I'll be available for you as we're drawing.
She walked towards you with her head down low. She wondered if there's a way out of the blue. Who's gonna take her home this time? She knew that this time wouldn't be the last time. There she waits, looking for a savior, someone to save her from a dying self. Always taking 10 steps back and 1 step forward. She's tired, but she don't stop. She don't stop, she don't stop, she don't stop. She don't stop, she don't stop, she don't stop. Every day she stood hoping for a new life. She closed her eyes, then she heard a small voice say, "You don't stop, no, you belong to me." She cried, maybe it's too late. Don't stop, 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 don't
All right, y'all. As we finish up that first prompt, I want to check in. If anyone thought of any hats that you want to share in the chat, please let me know. We also had a question come through about if we were going to share the slides, and yes, we will, so that in case you want to try some of these activities with your volunteers, you're more than welcome. So I recognize that you all are asked to wear a lot of hats, no matter what your actual job role is. And I also recognize that likely, because you are likely people who care, you might also be being asked to consistently give care to your colleagues, to your direct reports, to your volunteers, to your clients, whoever you all serve, often your family and friends. And you all might be potentially being asked to do this while facing overwhelm, compassion fatigue, burnout, limited resources, perhaps. You all might be worried right now about unstable grant funding, perhaps, maybe a lack of self support. And of course, this is also in the wider context of our ever shifting world right now. So many forms of injustice, happening every day. It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah, thank you, Courtney. Canva queen. I'm with you on that, actually. I do that for my job too. It's a lot of roles. It's a lot of roles, y'all. So as a healing arts professional, but also as a former multi-hat wearing nonprofit professional, I am passionate about helping you all who do wear several hats to also remember the person underneath the hats, to be able to then carry out all of these passions from a place of sustainable well-being. So I hope that today is just a little glimpse of what that can be like. So I invite you now for just these next 30 minutes to take off your hats, figuratively, to remove your hats and let this be a moment to check in with yourself. You can show up in whatever manner most serves you. You can participate hands-on, or you can be an owl, as we say. You could an observer, a witness, a listener. So let's take those hats off. So the next activity I want to share with you is a way that you can rest your mind really quickly, easily at your desk. I actually keep these little marble things on my desk in case I need to do this at any given time. So what I would ask you to do is get a new page. So turn the page or flip the piece of paper you're working on over. Okay, fresh page. And what we're going to do is use a small object. Again, it could be a pin cap, a bottle cap, a little marble, a coin, anything. This will allow us to release our decision-making stress for a second, because you might be asked to make a ton of decisions every moment. And right now, we're not going to make any decisions other than we're going to use the pen and a marker or a pen, and follow the little object all around your page. So if you look at the window with my hands, you can see what I'm going to do is put the little object down, and then I'm just going to follow it. I'm going to let it turn wherever it wants to go. If it falls off the paper, no stress. We're just going to put it back on, and we're going to keep going. So the goal would be to keep scribbling, okay? Keep scribbling until I tell you to stop. So go ahead and get your little item. We're going to see where it goes, and we're just going to rest your mind while you fill up your page with scribbles for just a moment.
She walked towards you with her head down. She wondered if there's a way out of the blue. Who's gonna take her home this time?
All right, now as you scribble, you're going to have a couple of options for how you take this scribble art one step further if you choose to. So you could just keep scribbling and following the little object on your paper as much as you want. And if you would like to, once you feel like you have a good amount of scribbles, you could doodle in some of the gaps that were created using whatever pattern you feel like doing, little dots, lines, squiggles. That's one option. Okay. Another option for how you might work on this page a little bit more is something that was coined by Dr. Pavel Piskarev, and this is called neurographic art. So what you do here, and this is actually designed as a way to just get clarity and peacefulness, championed through using creativity. So what you do is anywhere that the lines intersect, you would round out the corners by drawing like little U's wherever you see a cross, wherever the lines are crossing. So as you can imagine, if you did a lot of scribbles, this could take you all day. So it could just be something that you have on your desk, and if you need a moment to take a breath, work out something with your hands for a minute in order to hopefully have some clarity gained about something. It can just be a way to kind of zone out for a minute and get your thoughts together, or just to rest your mind. And often, as you're resting your mind, you might actually get inspiration, or at the minimum, at least you're going to be having a good time. So you can use a marker or a pen, and anywhere you find an intersection, you would round it out. So these are both just ideas. I forgot to mention in the beginning that if you are an artist and you want to just really go for it, you do that. Okay. So Gabrielle, I see this is so my kind of activity. Love it. So if you are, you want to take this to the third, fourth, fifth level, go for it. This is your art. Okay. And at the same time, if you want to stick with this right here or just keep scribbling, please do. As y'all are scribbling, I give you full permission not to look at your computer screen. Okay, you're going to be able to hear me regardless. And I will share a little bit more about my story with you of how I kind of embraced these things. But first, we got to look back to why I needed to embrace stuff like this. I, got a degree in social work. I grew up learning the approach of putting everyone else before myself, and that it was honorable and it was good if I served other people, and that was celebrated. So I got my degree in social work. I started working for nonprofit organizations. And I just went in hard. So whether that was working during the day or if it was volunteering for youth organizations at night, coaching swimming, coaching kids at night, whatever, I was just all about it. And it really, I thought, I have this social work degree. It's basically my badge to save the world, right? So I should get going. So I just went for it. And about 10 years in, uh, unfortunately, I experienced a season of grief and loss. I had all of these people on the screen except for me, so 5 others here, pass away in a pretty short amount of time. And I did not know how to handle that. My family growing up, we spoke fluent sarcasm, and that's about it. We did not express feelings in a healthy manner, in my opinion. I did not know, I was unprepared for how to deal with this. I was also unprepared for how to receive help because I was a giver, right? I'm a helper. Like, I like to help other people. So therefore, I did what we do, and I went ahead and did my best to numb the losses and just kept showing up in all the ways that I was serving in my career, in my coaching, in my volunteering. As some of you might already know, that works for a little while, but unfortunately, you can only shove things under the rug for so long until it starts affecting your day to day. And unfortunately, I was not showing up in my service in the way that I wanted to. So, the whole don't pour from an empty cup. At this point, this is what my cup looked like. And if you're looking at your journal page, I'm going to tell you it's a broken cup. Okay. I was trying to pour care from a broken cup that was laying in pieces. So at this point, I decided, I came to the realization that in order to keep serving others in my career, I had to figure out another approach. I had to find new ways to be and to serve. My former approach of putting myself last and ignoring all my needs was not working anymore. So this brings me back to that question I asked you all at the beginning was, what about the helpers? Who did they look for? Who do you look for support, for inspiration, for encouragement? What are your sources of connection, of community? How do you nurture your own mental health to be able to keep serving in this way? At this point, I really had to consider those. I had to consider, okay, well, how do I recover from this burnout and this compassion fatigue? And how can I stop it from robbing me of the joy and compassion that brought me into these careers and these efforts in the first place? So out of necessity, this point in my life became my journey of recovery from what I would now call probably a mix of compassion fatigue, secondary traumatic stress, burnout. it took me a long time, honestly, to find the person underneath all those hats that I was wearing and to accept the sources of connection to heal. As you know, when our purpose and our calling is supporting others, it is easy to forget that person. And before you know it, your cup might be broken like mine was. So I'll tell you that one of the shifts in perspective that I had during that time was to maybe, instead of looking at it like looking at service to others as pouring from a cup that we hold and it can go empty, instead of that perspective, I kind of shifted to what if there's what if we are a conduit of care, meaning that there is a source of, we serve out of a place of fluid connection instead of control and perfection. So this might look like first connecting with ourselves and whatever source that is for us, releasing stress instead of holding so tightly to everything, and continually drawing energy from an ever renewing source that is found within each other, with whatever sources of inspiration that is for you. And I'm saying source because we might all come from different spiritual frameworks or worldviews, but each of us have access to some source, whether that be supernatural or physical or an idea that we can connect with for energy and for guidance. Sometimes it might just be your own inner voice that you haven't heard in a while. There's a lot of voices in the world right now. And so I just want to take a moment to practice this approach by looking within, by reconnecting with yourself, and then reconnecting perhaps with each other. How are y'all doing so far? Are we okay? You're scribbling? Okay. So what I would ask you to do is pause your scribble and let's go back to that stick figure for a second. Let's go back to your stick figure. So I'm going to turn the page back to my little drawing. Don't worry though, you can keep scribbling after for sure. Okay. So on our person, let's focus on the stick figure part now. Let's take just 3 deep breaths just to kind of sense our actual physical body also. We have the one that's represented on the paper, but I want you to check in with your actual physical body as well. So 3 deep breaths. In and out. Just pause for a second. In and out. And one more deep breath at your own pace. Okay. So for this prompt, what I would ask is that we add some more to our drawing. We might jot some things that have been on our mind by our head. You might draw a symbol or write words around your heart space to describe any emotions you've been feeling lately or you're feeling right now. And then your physical body, what sensations have you noticed in your physical body lately? Have you been waking up feeling like your gut is in knots? Is there tension anywhere? So I want you to do a kind of scan of yourself right now. And you're looking for physical sensations. You're sensing for emotions that your heart is feeling. And the types of things that have been taking up space in your mind rent-free. Okay. Let's jot a few of those out on your paper. So in your head, in your heart, and wherever on your body, this could be symbols or it could be words. So again, I'll play some music and let's take a look to reconnect with yourself in this moment. We'll take about 30 more seconds on this one. Thank you for taking a scan of yourself. Now I will add another piece to the same prompt, and that is an opportunity for us to be witnesses to one another. So I'm going to share a link in the chat for a Google Doc, okay? You should be able to open it without logging in or anything. And what I did on this Google Doc was I added a header for mind, a header for body, and a header for heart. And I would ask that you can do this anonymously. You don't have to sign anything. Would you share one sensation that you had in each of those, just so we can get a sense of the collective, what's going on with us? What's going on with us? We're all over the world right now, and just we might find some connections. So the first thing I would invite you to do is find a space on the document. I see several of you are in there. Good job. See, we're little anonymous animals up here. So you can find some space to type, add one thing under mind, one under heart, and one sensation that you experienced in your body. Okay. So we'll take a bit to do that, a few seconds. And then after you put your contributions, I would ask that you go ahead and skim through. And if you see something that someone else wrote that you can identify with, I want you to put a +1 by it. So just let them know that, hey, this resonates with me, or any sort of little emoji that you want to add there, just to let them know that they are not alone. So let's be witnesses for each other in this. Let's take some time and fill out whatever you would like to on all three portions, anything that you're comfortable sharing in this space. Thank you all for contributing and for witnessing today. Let's take another 45 seconds or so here. I'm seeing a lot of things that are resonating with others on here. One, thank you for your bravery in sharing, and two, thank you for your bravery in saying, yeah, me too. Me too. One of the reasons I'm having us do this is because sometimes it can feel like we are alone in dealing with these things. And you might be in your own circle alone, but I think these times are nice to remember that we are not actually alone. Especially for those of you that are volunteer managers, you might be the only one in your position at your job. So it can be a little bit isolating. So I want you to see that a lot of this stuff is in common. All right, we're going to keep going just for sake of time, but I'll leave that doc available. If you want to dump anything else, feel free, because one of the other reasons I'm having us do this is because just acknowledging something is powerful. It puts some space in between that thing. So it's not right here, but it's in front of you. So that in doing that, you can step back and you can look at it. Whether that is a problem that needs, that's going through your mind, a physical sensation, or a feeling. There's power in naming that. All right, so the doc is still available, but I will go ahead and shift to our last stop today. And that is renewing your energy and vision. So I saw some of the wonderings on the Google Doc was like, well, how am I supposed to get rid of this anxiety, or how do I deal? There's a million priorities. And by no means am I here, unfortunately, to solve all of that for you. I wish I could. But I will say, as far as being able to be in a good place emotionally, physically, mentally, to even approach those things, another way to embrace the approach of serving as a conduit rather than just a cup is connecting to rest. It's connecting to rest. And this idea was very foreign to me growing up. Embracing rest is still something new, honestly. I'm continually inspired to look at the concept of rest from a couple of different authors listed here. We have Nicola Jane Hobbs and Octavia Rahim as two that speak about rest a lot. So the first quote from Nicola Jane, it shifted something in me when I first saw this. It says, instead of asking, have I worked hard enough to deserve rest? I've started asking, have I rested enough to do my most loving and meaningful work? Octavia Rahim adds, the world doesn't need more burned out visionaries. It needs well-rested revolutionaries who move at the speed of wisdom. Yeah, me too, Tracy. But you might be thinking, well, how on earth am I supposed to rest when I have all of these 17 hats that you just had me list out? Understandable, okay, understandable. I want you to know, though, that according to Dr. Sandra Dalton Smith, and let me know if you're familiar with this work, there's actually 7 different types of rest. One, of course, being physical rest, right? Like literally sleep. 2, though, mental rest. And by the way, physical could also just be put your legs up against the wall for five minutes, 2 minutes. Doesn't have to be actually sleeping, but physically resting your body. Mental rest. This might be stopping us from having to solve a million problems or turning off your notification, just to take a few moments to ground yourself. Maybe this is through meditation or breath work or repeating a calming mantra, or maybe it's by scribbling like we just did. Social rest, it means finding the people who you don't have to be on for. You don't have to wear a hat to be in their presence. Y'all know what I mean. The ones that you can just be your true self with, and that is a luxury when you can find it. But if you have found those people, it means setting some time with them. You can leave there refreshed without even sleeping. Creative rest, that's what we're doing today, but it could also be going for a walk, working in your garden, anything that uses creativity of any sort, Legos, all of that. Emotional rest is what we just did. We offloaded our feelings for a minute to a willing listener. It could be a journal, it could be a counselor, it could be a partner, a friend, but some way to get your emotions out of inside and express them. Spiritual rest, it could be for those of you that, have a religion of some sort that is in your worldview, great. And if not, it could also mean seeking out a sense of purpose, something to ground you or connect with something larger than yourself, tapping into humanity or community. Sensory rest. Somebody said earlier that you found ideas pop in your head when you're in the shower. This is one of the reasons. Sensory rest, often in the shower, you have sensory rest. Or when you go swimming, or when you sit and look at a field that is all green, or water that's all blue. It's easy on your eyes that way. And then sensory rest can also be not look at the screen, right? Like look at something that's not moving. In the shower, it's noise. And a lot of times in showers, it's just like a white space or just a color of tile. So it's auditory sensory rest and physical, like your eyes sensory rest too. It could be going, dip in the pool if you can. So out of all of these, which one would you say that you get the most of? Would you say? Let me know in the chat. Out of those, which ones would you say you get the most of right now? And I also want to know which one you get the least. So most and least. Afterward, Gung's gonna share a quiz you can take too, just to kind of measure this in your life, and see if there are perhaps areas where maybe they need some attention. Most is sleep. Oh, wonderful. I love that for y'all. And social rest as well, Wendy. Okay. Least mental rest. That's fair, Dawn. Yeah. Oh, Miranda, you said that too. Janelle. Least emotional. Okay. Thank you all for taking a thought at this with me. So for our last step, as far as the creative today, I would add to your picture. This can either be on your stick figure drawing or your other drawing, perhaps, but jot down some ideas as to how you might be able to get some of this rest. Okay, so how might we be able to improve in the areas that are lower? How might you be able to get some rest? Any of these categories that would work for you. So let's take 1 minute and do that, and we'll wrap up. Oh, Wendy brings up a good point too as y'all are writing. I'm an introvert, so going to social rest spaces stresses me out. And for you, Wendy, I would say your social rest might look different than being in a crowded room. It might be one person, or it might be your dog, you know, that is totally fine. It could be a niece, a nephew, someone that you can just sit and watch Netflix with. That's okay. Thank you, Catherine. Yeah. So jot down a few ideas on your journal pages. How might we get this rest? Mm, I will say too, as y'all are thinking, that creative rest during that period of burnout for me became my uh, go-to because it was actually assigned by my counselor, who I finally went and saw a counselor because I realized I needed some more support to deal with the grief. Um, she suggested doing activities like this in my journal, adding my artistic side into journaling. And that was really helpful. Also, I started randomly sewing baby clothes because I was so excited that my niece was born. Literally hand sewing. I would find myself sewing and just tears falling down because there were some feelings that I wasn't ready to approach yet, but they would come out when I would be doing things that were creative rest. So for that period of my life, especially, that's actually how I got into this sort of thing. Well, how I embraced it was I saw that what I thought was a creative activity was also nurturing my mental health. All right, y'all. I would like to know, how was this experience for you in one word? If you could put one word in the chat. As we do so, I encourage you to take a few breaths of appreciation for what you have done today, what you have created here. A second breath for each other, as we've shared a lot today. And a third collective breath, imagining you carrying the support of this group forward into your next step, whatever your next step is. Thank you so much. I'll pass it back to Gung, and thank you again for the invitation. And thank you all for sharing.
All right. That was probably the most relaxing of our webinars we've had in a long time. Certainly, I feel more rejuvenated and rested personally. So, thank you so much, Sarah, for yeah, for doing all that for us. And so, hopefully, you all enjoyed it too. And so, I am now sharing my screen as well. So I'm going to try to spotlight myself real quick here too. Um, all right, great. So we do have some free resources here. I'm going to share a couple things here on chat that Sarah has shared with us. The first one is a quiz, that she mentioned, and the second one here is just some additional free resources that she has on her website. So has a reflection guide, journaling prompts, things like that. So take a look if you have a chance, especially if you're thinking like, oh, I'm kind of feeling it today. Perhaps this might give you some food or thoughts or inspiration on how you can tackle that. So normally I would give a little bit of a quick intro on civic champs, but I know we're kind of running short on time, and so and plus it feels a little weird. So, but if you are interested in taking some load off your plate with a better volunteer management software solution, feel free to reach out to me personally if you would like. And so this is my contact info. So, and then also Sarah's as well. And then the last thing I will share is just a little link here for feedback. And so we're always looking for feedback. And like I mentioned, we've brought Sarah back from last year because there was some really positive feedback about session that she did for us. And so if you really enjoyed this, let us know and we'll have her back again. If you didn't, keep your thoughts to yourself. No, just kidding. But we also ask if you have other ideas for us, right? And those where we do review them and we look at them and we see, what are some topics that folks are interested in, and either we can present on those ourselves if we have some expertise, or otherwise we'll bring in guests like Sarah. Um, we will take a small break in 2 weeks. So usually we have these webinars every 2 weeks. And so 2 weeks from now, I'll be on a panel with Cosvox. So we'll actually share that out with folks as well. So if you want to join that panel, it's going to be talking about AI and tips and tricks on how volunteer managers can use different tools to sort of again streamline your work. And then we'll be back a couple weeks later with our next guest. So yeah, typically the cadence is every other Thursday we'll have a guest like Sarah. So thanks everyone for joining us. And then, oh yeah, contact information. Yes, there you go.